Croeso all, welcome back everyone to Fearless in Devotion, the Wrexham AFC podcast. We are sponsored by the Fat Boar, a wonderful establishment for all your calorific needs in Wrexham.
All you boring.
All your boring,
Yeah.
whatever you need. We're here after a second defeat of the season, 2-2. The title of this podcast will probably be Parky Out because that's what we're all demanding. We all want to see him gone. This is clearly his ceiling. He's got to go. Andy, you agree, don't you?
Absolutely. Let's get his head on a spike. I've already forgotten about the free promotions we've had. Look, we lost again, but I always thought that West Brom would give us a proper test, a championship test. I thought Southampton, because they've been like they've just come down from the Premier League. I didn't really know where we'd be after that game, but I thought West Brom would give us a sterner championship examination. And you know what? We lost, but we weren't too far away. Simple mistakes meant that we lost that, and it's a team that is still gelling. And I think obviously there's some stuff that we can improve on, but I don't think we do need to put Phil Parkinson's head on a spike, if I'm being honest.
Agreed. And let's just to make that clear. Let's lots to discuss about the game itself, but first of all, Andy's plugging his.
No, it's not his. It's ours. It's
Andy's
part
plugging
of the Fearless in Devotion umbrella. It's
Fearless,
an extension of us.
the sister Substack.
Yeah.
Of Fearless in Devotion. Scan this QR code now if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're listening, apologies for this weekly thing you've got to listen to. But
maybe we could describe the QR code to them and they could like.
It's got black squiggles in one corner. Right, no, let's not do that. But do scan. What do you get with that, Andy?
Well, you get a fully loaded, piped into your inbox, around about 3,000 words per week. And if anything big happens, we'll do a separate on it as well. So you're getting a lot of views, a lot of sort of people who contribute as well to add to something different. So it's just not me and Tim prattling on. There's a lot there. There's a little bite-sized stuff. We're trying a new thing on what you might have missed. So any sort of thing, any Wrexham podcasts or any sort of good articles that we'll do a little digest for you and just give you a little bit of that too. So it's £15 for the first year, and then it goes up a little bit like that. But if you've got another email address, I'm not saying anything, but join the dots on that.
Indeed. Thank you, Andrew, for that as ever. Right, a 3-2 defeat to West Brom, proper championship opposition. Before we talk about all the game, Tim, why don't you describe what it was like to be at the Racecourse for the first championship game in decades? Was it everything you thought it would ever be?
Not really. In all honesty, 12:30 kickoffs that I just don't like. I think that kind of has a bit of an adverse effect on the atmosphere, which is a bit weird, really, because summer's shining, but we're back down to 3 stands, which again is something to take on board. That sort of the sort of atmosphere and the singing booming back at you is no longer there for the foreseeable. So it was good in the sense that it was limited build up, unless you're in town at like 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever. For me, I got there about an hour and a bit before, met up with a few people, and then in we went. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the railings have gone in the tech end. There's an extra row of seats. There's no scoreboard at this bit now, which is good for the people right at the very back. The pitch looked amazing as it will do all year round. And obviously Rob and Ryan were in the house, which was lovely to have them back over. Welcome back, gents. And yeah, I don't know. It didn't really, for me, it wasn't quite the same as Southampton, because obviously that was the first championship game back, big stadium, big crowd, former Premier League team, and pretty much the first time any of us have ever clapped eyes on half of these players in the flesh. So it was slightly different in that sense. And yeah, it was all right. It was all right. The game was a bit of a weird one. I can't say I can't sit.
I'm getting the vibes of 6 out of 10 from this.
Yeah, if that. To be honest, I can't lie and say it was such a brilliant occasion. When for me, I was like, yeah, it was a pretty special occasion with it being Championship football again. But did it blow my mind? No, and that's not being entitled. It's just we've had so many good occasions in recent years, whether it's we have been massively spoiled with promotions and really, really good performances and being really hard to beat. Whereas yesterday we were very easy to beat. So that's something to
or let's beat
consider.
ourselves, to be honest.
Well, yeah, and you know, you can dig into this as much as you like, which I'm sure we'll do. But you know, let's look at the goals. Then. Let's look at the goals.
Well, no, first of all, can I just say, you mentioned entitled, which is interesting because someone called us entitled on last week's podcast, which I thought was a bit unfair because we were just saying how great it was to be back and how pleased we were, even though we'd lost. So I thought that was a strange word to use, but you know, all views welcome. Please do comment more abuse under the video.
Even if they're wrong.
Yeah, we enjoy reading them. Lots of good Dogs of War content, by the way. I'm sure we'll discuss that later. But yeah, Andy touched on it earlier as well. Andy, you mentioned that we went far off, and you're absolutely right. And I get the impression that if that second goal doesn't go in, and if Danny doesn't unfortunately leave that in his near post, that game ends 1-1.
Yeah,
do you agree?
I think so. Yeah, and I picked a draw beforehand. I thought we would. I thought it was a tough test, and I thought, to be honest, the West Brom guy who we had on in the midweek. What are you shaking your head for, Timothy?
Trying to do my best De Niro sort of pursed face,
okay,
kind of thing. I just disagree massively. I thought we would lose that game regardless. We were way too open. So many gaps everywhere, not just defence. There was a lot of really good ball retention second half, but come on, you know the goals are just daft. Although it has to be said that first goal, I can fully understand why Brunt maybe got his positioning wrong for it. He was in the right position, but it's taken a deflection off McLean.
Yeah, it did.
So it's altered the trajectory of the ball into his path,
and
he's about a metre away from the guy. Then can't put the challenge in. So, and we all know about the second goal. It's obviously a horrible.
Is that a goalkeeping area?
Oh, I mean, of course it is.
I know he's hit it really. He's hit it really early, and he's hit it hard. But you cannot be beaten on your near post like that, can you?
You can't. But you look at the build-up. Cody's holding the man as the ball comes down. He allows the defenders to chest it off, and then between Max and Lewis Brunt, none of them are taking responsibility for the runner. They're both kind of pointing at each other. It's like, well, who's taking him on? Who's taking him on? If you're not going to take him on, get into position. And I mean, Danny was getting a bit of stick for it, a bit scapegoat, I think, considering how good he was last week. It's a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Arthur, remember Arthur 100%. At Salford a while back? You know, I'm sure he made a couple of errors last year that I can't recall off the top of my head. But you know, Max has had so much credit because of how good he's been. He's not had the best of starts to this level, you know. But that's not a scapegoat, and that's just an observation. So
yeah,
I just think they're all avoidable. The third goal, Jesus Christ, I mean, it's the freest header of free headers, but avoidable. You know, Longman could have probably slid tackle and cleared it.
I think the first and third goals in particular, weren't they? We were wide open, and that's something. And Andy, that space again in between the defence and the midfield, or just in front of the defence, really seemed a lot of space that in there. West Brom got in there quite a lot, and that first goal was way too easy, wasn't it?
It was. There are still sort of things that maybe Parkinson is looking to bring more in, and maybe a proper defensive midfielder would try and plug those gaps at the back. The other thing I think is the way we play, our wing backs are so important. They're our biggest creative sort of outlets, and I don't think we've started well on those fronts this season. I think Barnett his crossing is fantastic. But I'd still like him to see him take more people on. But it's hard because he knows he has to then cover. It's a lot for a fullback to do. I think McLean yesterday, you know, he's returning to a level that he hasn't played for 3 years, and in those 3 years he's got a bit older. So you know, while he's got bags of experience, it's tough for him to get up and down there. So I think because we put so much emphasis on our wing backs, if they're not at the races, the whole team struggles. Is what I'm trying to say there, really. And it's just been quite tough for Longman because as soon as he comes on, we tend to concede. And I'm not saying it's all down to him, but you know, it happened against Southampton where they came down the left, and it happened on Saturday as well.
Yes. Well, look, let's dissect more from this game. Let's talk about the injuries because we seem to be cursed because Windas appears to have pulled his hamstring. Can I just say though, I was right about Kefir Moore, not a serious injury. I called it on last week's podcast.
No,
Thank
well
you.
done.
You're
Yeah,
welcome, everyone. If you told anyone, if you shared that with anyone like it was gospel, you're welcome. So it's great to have him back, and he was class again, wasn't he? He bullied them. I
yeah.
thought.
No, we did. And that's, I think, what we touched on this last week, didn't we? That Kefir Moore is many teams' plan B. Well, he's our plan A, and we build the team all around him. And I think he responds to that because he doesn't have that. He doesn't get that much out of other clubs, but he is our focal point. And he's just got a bit of everything, isn't he? He is pretty good with the ball at his feet. He's a massive presence in both boxes. You know what? He's not actually slow.
No, he's not.
No, so any sort of team that comes up against Kefir Moore knows they're in a game. I wonder if we did lose a little when Josh Windas came out because Broadhead was still struggling to sort of find where his positioning should be. Sometimes he was too deep, sometimes he was too wide, and I just wonder if the partnership maybe worked on during the week.
Tim, do you see that as our starting front two? Eventually Moore and Broadhead and maybe with Windas in midfield? Or do you think that position is a shootout to be shared by Broadhead and Windas?
I'm not too sure at this moment in time. I wouldn't. I kind of think that you got to remember Hardy in this position as well. I mean, people already been in Hardy. I was like, what are you doing? You know, it's 2 games in. We still haven't seen enough of hardly any of these players. It's still too early to call. But Windas has been impressive in terms of linking up the play. He was the one that just when you get the ball, it's going forward at a rate of knots, and it's self-explanatory now. But the biggest difference for me in stepping up is the pace of the game is unbelievable. I looked at my watch; it was 1:45. I felt like I'd been playing for ages because it was just non-stop blood and thunder, same as last week. So
it's great to watch, isn't it? It's
it
really entertaining.
It is, and that's noticeable as well. It's not dull. It is full throttle. And it's brutal, and it is relentless. And as we see, you will be punished if you were caught napping, which we were three times really. But I think I would like to see Windas maybe behind the front two. I just think he's probably got that element of creativity and just the vision to do that.
Well, is the evolution of this? Is it a 3-4-2-1? And maybe would he be looking to play Windas and Broadhead together behind Moore? Because that's the way you need attacking talent on the pitch if you're going to open these teams up. What you can't do, and Tim touched on it then, like it's different coming up from conference in League Two, where you've got a lot of time. You know, the ball's not in play as much there, so you've got time to reset. Set pieces become very, very important, and it's not like that in the Championship. As Tim says, it's so breakneck speed. And, remember when we played Blackburn in the Cup and we were trying to slow it down and they were just playing it through midfield and cutting us open. And we need that. We need those small, quick attacking players changing play and breaking the lines. And I wonder if eventually it would be Windas and Broadhead behind Moore, and then 2 very solid sort of defensive-minded midfielders with O'Brien certainly being one of them. I thought he's got some good touches, that player. Fair play.
Well, I mean that division, that flicked pass with the outside of his boot to Broadhead, early chance in the second half. Now I agree with you. If Broadhead puts that in, it probably finishes as a draw. I still think we're still a little bit soft at the back. We need to get that nailed down and sorted out. But yeah, I mean, we're talking here about a guy who's come in for a potential total of 10 million quid, and we've not. This is like deep into the agenda already. A record signing, and you've got to be excited. Park the idea that we've lost two championship games. I think it was always going to be tough. It was always going to be tough. And the documentary's like, oh, Wrexham going to suffer to the start of the season, but it's going to take a bit of time. Some people have said maybe this is kind of like an extended pre-season to a certain extent because of getting so many players in at relatively short notice. Is it an extension of pre-season? Is there going to be patience, I guess, because as we'll come on to it shortly, big game next Saturday against a team that people would expect us to beat because of the predicament that they're in. But as we can testify to, when the chips are down, you've got your backs against the wall, you get that siege mentality and you want to prove everybody wrong. So Sheffield Wednesday ain't going to be a pushover. And if we don't get maximum points from it, it feels like it's a pressure game early, and people will start sharpening their knives. And I don't like that, but that's the nature of the beast in this division.
Yeah. Lots to discuss. Unfortunately, I won't be here to discuss it because I've got to go very soon. So I thought I'd bring forward YouTube if you want to. And maybe we should do a new feature, which is salty YouTube comment of the week. And I can have both. But this is that one. It's from Simply DBT2563, which is a great username. And he said after last week's podcast, can't see Wrexham staying up after that performance. I get the optimism, but it was all Southampton all game. The referee was unbelievable bias towards Wrexham. No comment. Seeing as the 4 should have been sent off with a second booking and given away a penalty right after half-time. Another blatant penalty was missed for a shirt pull. If there was ever a game to beat a former Prem side, it was that one, because they had a £50 million player out of the squad, apparently. I mean, lost for words. But I think are we all in agreement that, also, can I just say, that's a real pet hate of mine, how people are using bias instead of biased. It really hacks me off. It seems to be a modern thing where they go, the ref was so biased. It's biased, you Burke. So if you're listening and you'd say that, please stop immediately. It's biased.
This is not just views on Wrexham. This is an education.
It is.
Maybe Rhys's dictionary corner, where you go through a word that is oft used wrong in thy English language and put people right on it.
Grammar pedantry of the week. We could do that, couldn't we? That'd be lovely. Okay.
I'll wait till you in future. You're going to accidentally say Lewis O'Brien's name is Lewis O'Bias. That's what's going to happen. It's in your head now.
As long as it's Lewis O'Biased, it's fine. Right, I've got to go, Jeds. Looking forward to next week. But hope you all have a good discussion afterwards. I got nothing much to add other than, everyone needs to calm down. I feel like, I think we discussed when the fixtures came out, didn't we? That the first 4 or 5 away games as well looked really tough. I think August and September is going to be hard. And then hopefully the team will gel. We'll have got through some really nasty fixtures. And a mate of mine, Dan Hewitt, actually, ITV investigations correspondent, who's a big West Brom fan, messaged me after the game and said, you'll be fine. You will make mincemeat of some of the dregs at the bottom. So
that's the other thing. West Brom are going to be good this season. I think. Looking at it, I think they'd look a very solid team.
So let's
whichever way you look at it, right? Everybody, I think a lot of football fans with a semblance of intelligence will say, you know what, they've made some nice additions. Begrudgingly, I think they'll be fine. So everybody's quite rightly reveling in our supposed misery at the moment of being. We're not stinking the place out like Sheffield United are, so let's look at the wider picture there.
It's so miserable. We were in the National League for 15 years, but nothing compares with losing 2 games in the Championship. I'm ready to stop. I'm ready to call it all off. Right, I've got to go, gents. Enjoy discussing the rest of the game.
See you.
All right, take it easy. So that's Rhys out of here. Liam is busy with
incognito
work things. Yes. So it's the two of us, like Triple R.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I'm the happy one.
Okay. Does that mean I've got to be miserable? Which one's that? Is that Nathan?
I don't know which one's which.
Neither are miserable.
No, they're both happy. They're both happy. Right. Okay. Let's go on to Ward. I know he's copying flack for it. I think other than that, what he did was fine. It's one mistake. You wouldn't be looking to bring Arthur back in, would you, for Sheffield Wednesday?
No, it's a weird thing that loads of people saying, well, I'm dumbfounded that you dropped your keeper for Danny Ward. And
it's easy with hindsight, isn't it? After
of course it is
to say that.
But what was Danny Ward to blame for yesterday's defeat? No. Did he contribute to it? Yes. That's as simple as that. So did the defense contribute to the defeat? Yes. Did the entire team contribute to the defeat? Yes, because I think the tried and tested stuff of we win and lose together, blah blah blah. It was a typical Wrexham performance in the sense that the attitude was there, but maybe the application and it lacked a little bit of conviction to what we'd be used to. And I think they've all come out and said it. At least they've all been honest enough. Parky and the players said, look, it's a bit of a step up to maybe what a lot of us some of us are used to. Some of them are used to it, some of it aren't. And Parky said before this season kicked off that, we've brought in players that we know are at the level, and we also want to bring players that have not tasted this level along with us.
Yeah.
Some have adjusted quite well. Barnett is a good example.
Yeah.
Some are maybe finding their feet. Again, maybe I'm unfairly using Max here as an example and Brunty based on yesterday's performance, but they're good players and they will find their feet. To maybe expect them to do it so early on against two teams that might be up there, maybe we're expecting too much. Maybe that's been natural. But Wardy will keep his place. I've no doubt about it. Somebody messaged me and said, "Well, you're going to defend everything to do with Danny Ward because he's a friend of the pod." I'm like, "Is he?" We've had him on a while back, and he's a lovely guy. And you naturally you want to see local lads prosper and do well. And I just don't think there's any really real value in getting on a player's back straight away. It's not going to be helpful. Danny Ward came off social media ages ago because he got dogs abuse from Leicester City fans. He doesn't need it from us through Chinese whispers. He doesn't need to hear that. So just get behind him. Nobody's mentioning the 7 saves he made at Southampton. Easier to criticize than praise. We're guilty of that. So
yeah. I know, as I said last week, though, it's important for a keeper to make a good start to really build up the confidence between the players, between the fans, and for himself, really, more than anything else. So I just hope he doesn't let this rock him too much, and I hope his mind's reset for Saturday, because a couple of great saves against Wednesday, and everything's forgotten, to be honest. So there's that. There's more positives from that game. I thought Smith looked lively when he came on. Now, when you talk about going through your pre-season, well, I think Smith is. Firstly, were you surprised that Hardy didn't come on? And secondly, he was much better, wasn't he? Even with just having that Tuesday night under his belt.
Yeah, he did look. He's getting slowly but surely back to a bit of sharpness that we saw at the tail end of last season.
It was a well-taken goal. That
it was a great goal, great cross. He finds the space, and that I know it's close range, but I remember years ago seeing Paul Mullin miss a diving header from a similar range.
Yeah.
So it's still good execution. It's a good goal, it's a good finish. It's just a shame we didn't have a further 4 minutes of added time like we did in the Hull win in midweek. So I think I would not be surprised to see Sam Smith start against Sheffield Wednesday. I wouldn't be massively surprised.
So what would you do? You would put Broadhead in the attacking mid role, and then go with Smith and Moore up front. I tell you what, if you think Moore's a handful, both of them together is going to be a
and I think if Windas is out, which we're all expecting him to be,
I'd say a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's a hammy, isn't it? So it'll depend on.
He walked off, but it's still you can tell straight away the way he pulled up. He went right. You went straight away 3 or 4 weeks.
And you know what? If we're using up all of our injury bad luck early doors, I'll kind of take it because it's a long season. You're going to need everybody fit, especially around Christmas when those games come thick and fast. So, let's get it out of the way early. But like I said, Golly Rathbone can't be a million miles off either. You got Cannon to come back. You got all these players that
Dog of war. Well, we're having a new dog of war.
We're having a
release from the kennel.
A re-established dog of war released from the kennel.
I mean, I was going to touch on that. I mean, the midfield three are very industrious. They run about. They hair into stuff. Dobson, I thought, had a better game yesterday than he did against Southampton. But is there real creativity there? Are there people who are sort of joining the front man? Do we need people to break out a little bit more? And should there be a little bit of a reset? Should the midfield three, for example, should Dobson go into the defensive midfield role rather than he's on the right-hand side and he's box to box, but is he better in that sort of fulcrum position? I know he is covering, but he is not as good as passer as Matty James. So that's maybe where you lose a little bit there. But then if you can bring that passing further forward where you've got Broadhead, who looks a very tidy technical player, doesn't he? And then eventually, and then O'Brien as well, who's a bit of everything. I mean, is that a better balance?
Potentially. I'm not sure. I'm convinced that Dobson has the sort of what's the word I'm looking for, the discipline to be screening that defense in the way. He had a good game on the whole, got stuck in, was a bit faster with his passing as well. But he's partial to the odd booking, the odd early booking from off the top of my head. So I'm not sure I'd want to have him back there, but I've got options.
Where's George Thomason? Is he injured?
I think so, yeah. But you would like to think he can't be far off either. So there's just this wealth of options, unlike anything we've ever seen before, and that will be the biggest test of Parky's credentials and his team to figure out what's going to work, as a preference, really. And again, we haven't seen Thomason yet, so we don't really know what he's going to bring to the table. You kind of know with Broadhead. We didn't see enough of it yesterday. Got an eye for goal, pulled one shot wide, but he will get out of tight
He'll
spaces.
create out of nothing. I see that in Broadhead. Someone who can have a bit of magic where the rest of the team is very industrious. And I know I touched on the fullbacks earlier, and they are massively important to us. And I'm not saying that Barnett has had a bad start to the season. I think, again, from a player that we got from non-league, he's had to adapt to each league he's come into. And I didn't think he'd do particularly well in League One, but you know what? He absolutely confounded me, and he did really well to start. He dropped off a little bit, and that's why Longman was brought in. But I still think he's our number one choice of the right wing back role at the moment. And I think it's just a shame that Kakache is injured, because I thought he had a very encouraging debut against Southampton, and I think he would offer quite a bit down the left-hand side. Again, he's just very strong, and he's just got such a great engine, hasn't he?
Just the urgency that you need, and it's. I mean, I know McLean's made a few assists already this season. Has he been as good as he was previously so far? Probably not. So I just think Kakache will bring a little bit more impetus from that area of the pitch that we probably lacked yesterday, to be perfectly honest. But the shoots of promise are there, aren't they? That's what we're competitive, and that we've kind of glossed over a bit. The Carabao Cup game, Hull looked dead and buried. To be perfectly honest, we had put out a scratch Championship stroke League One team against the Hull team that didn't make many changes from their previous Championship match. So to come back in the way we did, got to be said, the penalties were perfect. There's penalty shootouts.
Yeah, didn't this one. Yeah.
Preston away in the next round, which you're delighted by because you've never been to Deepdale, and you can go.
I'm working out how to get out there. There's no train at the end of the game, so I might have to drive up.
And that's on Tuesday week. Yeah. That's the day after Bank Holiday Monday. So
I'm in negotiations on that one.
And yeah, Ollie Palmer twice in that game off the bench.
Was it a bit much for him not to make the bench yesterday? I mean, with 9 people on there, I would have put him on there.
Yeah, but it's getting that balance right between sentimentality and whether it was deserved. And I thought the headers were great. He got himself into some decent positions. Did he do much more beyond that? Probably not. But he's a striker, and that's what he's paid to do. So yeah, a bit harsh, but he's got more strikers than anything else, Parky. So he's got to make that decision and go.
Yeah,
right.
Because you put him on. Do you say to Hardy, "You're not in the squad," which is hard, or do you say to returning Smith, "Sorry, not today, mate"?
But the bottom line is, Moore was back, got over his injury, he's back, so there's no place for Ollie. It's as simple as that. It's a toss up between those two at the moment for that particular role. And when Keeper's back, there is no need for him to be there. That's what he's looking at. He feels Keeper can play a large portion of a.
And he played 90 minutes.
90. Yeah, exactly. And he goes, he's got the engine for it. We don't. He's at an age where he doesn't need to be replaced after 70 minutes or anything. So, yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Palmer, because clearly in his interview he's very emotional, wearing 35 again and rolling back the years. And if it is to be his final game, then what way to bow out? And I just thought it was great. He's projected himself in a very different manner in his interview. He's much more humble and contrite. And looked great. He's lost weight. He's very trim, but hasn't lost his muscle. So if he stays, fine. If he doesn't, he can go and be the main man somewhere else in the sort of latter years of his career. So
yeah,
It's a
think
win-win, I think.
there's a couple of years left in him, isn't there? Especially if he's slimmed down. Right. If just looking ahead to Sheffield Wednesday, would you make any changes? I would say that if Kakache is fit, he would play. I would probably, well, obviously, I think Broadhead starts with Windas. It's just interesting if he brings in Hardy or Smith too, and maybe a midfielder drops out. I would keep the defence the same, and I would keep Ward.
Yeah, I don't see him making that many changes. The minute you start chopping and changing so earlier on, because I think when Stephen Fletcher was there, wasn't he, doing some co-coms
Yeah, he was good.
for ITV or Sky?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, and he said that in all of his years in football, the dressing room was the best he's been involved in.
22 years, yeah.
Yeah, he said as far as he's aware, that still remains, and one of the biggest challenges for the manager and his team is keeping that happiness and sort of nice balance in the dressing room. You have to keep that. So if he starts chopping and changing too early, you're then thinking, oh, all right, granted, I made a mistake. I'm not sure I needs to be binned. As Arthur will be saying, I'm not sure I deserve to be binned because I had a good season. But then you look at who you're bringing in, you're thinking, all right, maybe there's a justification for it. So I don't see him making vast amounts of changes. I think most of it will be, he'll still be looking for it to settle in. Like I said, I still feel maybe it's like a weird extension of preseason. So
yeah.
But yeah, Kakachi, we need back in there. We need a bit more zip, a bit more pace. I think Broadhead will start.
You've got off more, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think so.
That's
just because.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like you mentioned, Longman. He's done? Has he done a lot since he's been back in so far? And obviously, Broadhead can play on the left. Very good. Could bring some balance that way. I'm not paid to make this decision. Thankfully, that's his conundrum to fix and solve. But it's a good position to be in it. Good position to have. The sort. We've got a strong squad. It's clear we've got a strong squad. Will we add to it? Probably. Where do we add? That's the thing. Where would you look to add? Because there's still rumours of Lewis Kumas. I can't remember who else. That's Civet.
I think it was Broadhead or Kumas. I don't see how you fit Kumas into that side now.
Yeah.
And you can't say to Liverpool, "Oh yeah, we'll have him," but he might come on as sub a couple of times. Now you've got, if you're taking a player like Kumas, you have to play him. And I think as soon as we signed Broadhead, I thought the Kumas thing has probably died a little. The areas I would look at defensive mid, be it the lad from Ajax, or be it someone else, and I would look as an extra centre half as well. That's personally where I would go, just because Cody has got two very young, up and coming centre halves with him, and there was space there yesterday. So maybe if you could bring someone with a little bit more experience of the Championship, those spaces may be reduced a little bit. I know Jack Robinson has been mentioned from Sheffield United, left-sided, and then there's the player from Man City as well. I can't remember his name, but he's been on loan a few times in the Championship and always done quite well. So I think maybe if they are looking, that's where I would be looking. I don't think you need a lot more up front. I think Broadhead has sort of put that to rest.
Where does that leave Owen O'Connell and Dan Scarr?
I would say Scar's a replacement for Cody. I think he likes the idea of O'Connell can play anywhere across the back, but I wonder if it's too much. Championship over a prolonged period is maybe a little too much for O'Connell, and I mean that in the nicest way, because he's been very good for us in non-league. He was very good for us in League Two, and he was our sort of starting centre of the three last season as well, when maybe I thought Scar would take that role. So, he's come up with us a lot. I just sort of think there's not everyone's going to be able to cut the level. And maybe O'Connell could after 15 or 20 games. I just don't think he'll get them.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be interesting. We've got 2 weeks before this window shuts, so there'll be comings and goings, no doubt. Before we look ahead at the sort of Sheffield United thing, Sheffield Wednesday rather. We will be probably doing a midweeker to look at it in a bit more detail.
It's interesting what's going on there, and it's a nice, we've been through something very similar, haven't we? So it would be nice to take a deep dive into what's happened and how maybe we as Wrexham fans could help. Yeah, I think we definitely should do that. Ryan and Rob were there yesterday. The best thing about that now, there's no fanfare, is there? It's not. No. It's not the Ryan. It's maybe the Ryan and Rob show or anything like that. They're just here to watch their team. They come in, they shake hands, they press the flesh, and then they go, and that's fine, isn't it?
They do their pre-match stuff for the broadcasters, which they did, and they were saying, I think Gabriel Clark said, "Oh, is there any other celebs with you?" And it's like, well, he's kind of famous enough, so he'll probably do for this one. And they would just say, they reiterated the fact that we're not making football decisions. We're here to tell the story and promote the club. Simple as that, which is what they've done, and then some. So, and even though Wrexham still get burnt for everything, there was one this week, Wrexham, everything that's wrong with modern football. It's like, come on, let's strip it back and go look at Sheffield Wednesday as a prime example of bad ownership, one of many examples, and look at an example of very, very stellar, astute ownership model, such as ours, which is probably trying to be mimicked several times.
You can't replicate it. You can't just parachute Tom Brady into Birmingham and say, right now you're the sort of figurehead of this club. It doesn't work. It works with Ryan and Rob because they're not going to our manager saying, I'm not sure about him on a documentary or anything like that. They're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
They're just promoting Wrexham. And I think in that Gabriel Clark interview, they were asked, what's the non-negotiable? What's the one thing you never want to change here? And he said they said it's the focus on the town and the club and not on them.
And they said I think the word they used as well was the intimacy between the fans and the club.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago that the last thing you want, because I know there's a bit more of a barrier now where the players' entrance is, but that's not to create a divide because fans are still getting selfies and shirts signed and stuff by the players, so that's still there. I think that the club have just put a few barriers and stuff just to make it a bit more fluid for the entrance and stuff, because players do have to get in there. They have to do their prep. They have to do the nutrition. They have to get to sort of sit down and chill and relax and figure out what the team's going to be. Blah blah blah. So there's only a window for which these players can go along and sign everything and everything.
They've got to be in the right headspace, haven't they?
Of course they have, but they're doing it. And I think we used Arthur as a prime example. Arthur came in and ignored a load of fans initially, and he had to be told that you need to go out and sign stuff, and he wasn't used to that. So
no, that's the Arsenal mentality, though, isn't it?
That is a top flight. Yeah. Stick your headphones in, have your Louis Vuitton wash bag, and ignore everybody. Ain't going to happen on this watch. And if it did happen, the fans will be quick to let you know about it. And this is where that fans advisory board comes in whenever it's going to come in, and take that to the top brass and go, this is something that we want to make sure remains. So be good to your word and make sure that it doesn't become a huge divide, if you like, and move far the other way from the community aspect of it. But there we are. I digress. Let's start looking at the bits and bobs. Wrexham women, there's a bit of an overhaul going on there. Kind of on the down low, really. The actual account.
Have they brought many in yet? Because I can see people leaving.
Obviously, Amber Lightfoot's now gone. Rebecca Pritchard has gone. They've both announced their departures from the club this week, and just put a little sort of spiel on their socials about it. So there's a bit of an overhaul going on there, but there's nothing in terms. Obviously, there's still a while before their first game, but there's definitely going to be a bit more movement now. It's great that they've got the Rock as a place they can call home, so there is a foundation there. But yeah, I think they're slightly behind the curve a little bit with pre-season and so on and so forth. So
they had to wait to bring their new boss in a little bit. Yeah. So like Parkinson when he first came in, it might take her a couple of transfer windows to really put this squad together. Also Joey's funeral on Wednesday. So there's a public element and a private element. The actual service itself will be for invited guests, but the club are now in a position to give out tickets for Wednesday, where we'll have a celebration of his life at the racecourse, at his second home, really. We have given after, on the back of our live night, we've given a sizable donation to the Dogs Trust, which we know Joey would love. You never saw him without a dog walking around Wrexham, so I think that's something quite he would have appreciated. And you're going to go, aren't you, with the family to say
Yeah,
goodbye?
I mean, it's been a bit of a while since he's passed already, and people were quite rightly getting a bit fidgety as to when this link was going to go up. It has gone up. It went up yesterday via the club's official ticket site, through the Ticketmaster thing. There is no thing where you need to apply stuff to a member. I went on and got 3 tickets.
Okay.
There is still quite a lot of seats available in the Macron stand, which is a shame. I would like to think it will be will get filled up quite quickly. There's going to be people there from Liverpool, Huddersfield, everywhere, Chelsea, all the clubs he's represented. So let's give him the send off he deserves, of which I'm sure it'll be amazing. I'm sure he'll love it. Saw his best mate Mickey in the club shop before.
How is he?
The whole game. Yeah, you know what? In good spirits and all right. I think he's probably had to take some time out naturally to kind of work through this, because they were like Siamese twins.
They were, especially towards the end when Mickey was doing a lot for the Jones
honestly
family.
for all of Mickey's Jack the Lad behavior past, he is the true definition of what a true friend is. He was always there for him, always traveling down, always being there for him, always being supportive daily. So I love the fact that there was young fans in the club shop asking for pictures with him, different generations of fans who know who he is, and it's great to see. So Joey's going to get an amazing send off, no doubt. It's going to be a somber occasion, but let's
celebrate the life of a proper club legend, and played for us 3 times, but was behind the scenes for so much of it, and so much success. Where he had a lovely little triumvirate with Brian Flynn and Kevin Reeves, and that's where I remember Joey most from.
The owners were quick to say, this is about Joey as well. I didn't see it. I've seen pictures of it, but Ryan was wearing like a custom made red sweater with like an oversized Wrexham badge, and on the back it just said Joey and his year of birth, which I thought was very nice. Really nice touch. Yeah, and they just said, look, he's always going to have a seat at this stage, regardless. And it's stuff like that you don't see from other owners. They don't do their history, and you just feel that Rob and Ryan, when they've got time, are just going, right, I need to look back. What can I find? What videos can I look at? What is beyond Wikipedia that I need to read up on this club? Did they get a copy of Pete Jones's massive Bible on Wrexham from back in the day? It's a doorstop size. That's what you want. And any fan base who says otherwise, that they don't want that from their owners, is an absolute liar.
Yeah. So goodbye to Joey on Wednesday. All right, I think that's it. I don't think there's any other business. Should we do some Sheffield Wednesday predictions?
Well, we'll do it on Wednesday, because we'll do a midweeker then.
I see what you did there.
We'll do the Wednesday on Wednesday.
Okay.
You know what? That's going to be an interesting one, because
lose again, and the pressure pressure will come on.
This is what we'll discuss on Wednesday. So please come back and visit the midweek pod, listen to it, stream it, view it, all that sort of stuff. It's massively appreciated. The figures are ticking over nicely. So it's nice to know that people, not everybody, some like what we're doing, some come on here. I'm sure there's fans of other.
We're a hate listen. I like to be a hate listen.
There's going to be people who want to come on and say, I want to see Gilpo and Tim cry when they get pumped 7-0 by Sunday. And we'll be here, and we won't cry. We'll be disappointed.
We've done our crying.
We've done our crying.
I cried privately. 2 a.m.
I cried when we lost to Ebbsfleet once, a long time ago. That was bad. But so we'll have a deep dive in that on Wednesday. We'll probably get a Wednesday podcast guest to give us the inside gossip, what's going on there in layman's terms, because it's obviously a mess from the outside looking in. But let's give an idea of what's going on and no doubt there'll be some comparisons to what's happened to us in
Well,
previous
yeah,
years.
cheers for joining our Pared Down podcast, where me and Tim just prattle on at each other. And
And the
if you
octopus
want
in the
to,
background.
if you want to hate listen, this was the one to hate listen.
What's the octopus called again?
Ollie.
Ollie, of course it is.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
his wandering hand.
looks
Right,
like he's
okay.
It looks like he's gonna plant a header on something as soon as you get up. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm pointing like I know where it is. It's there somewhere. But yeah, cheers, and we'll speak to you all again on Wednesday. Cheers.
Bye.